The home opener is a runaway success. Afterwards, a dynamic freshman duo are the talk of the town.
We're looking at the two future stars, upcoming Penn State.
Next up, Penn State does not expect Southern hospitality as they become the first Big Ten team to ever play at Jordan-Hare Stadium.
We went all silent count all last week.
We'll tell you why the Lions are a field goal favorite against Auburn and what concerns them in our scouting report. And he's a former White House press secretary that grew up in Auburn. Robert Gibbs has a soft spot for Penn State.
My parents both worked at the Penn State Library.
What he expects to happen when his Tigers host PSU. It's time for Nittany Game Week. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski, along with our coaches, Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley. Home opener checks all the boxes. Victory, first and foremost. Offense looks efficient and builds a big lead to get a bunch of players some experience. You got it going on for the home opener. They did their job.
They came out, they got to some tempo, got an opening scoring drive, and just didn't look back from there.
And then they got the younger guys in to get them some experience and get them ready, so they don't get caught in that again where, we didn't get any chance to get in reps.
I want to follow up on that, Tom, because how rewarding is that? And Coach Franklin even said, look, really appreciated the starters doing their job because it allowed a lot of guys that work really hard in practice to get on the field. How exciting is that for coaches to see your guys?
A lot different when you're in the game than practice, okay? And it's the field, getting on the field, getting your reps, starting to feel good, becoming comfortable, because they're going to need that as this road gets a little bit longer.
So much practice compared to playing time, Jay. Isn't that rewarding to see those kids get out there and just get on the field and run around a little bit?
Yeah, because those guys are putting in the time and they want to get in there and get that feel of, hey, I got to carry the ball, and they'll tell their kids, years from now, they'll tell their kids they had 200 yards rushing in that game. But, that's how it goes.
Yeah, a lot of fun. All right, well, the performance pushes the Nittany Lions into the top 25, now ranked 22nd. We talk about a freshman dynamic duo, up-tempo pace, and a developing defense in our opening drive. So no hesitation with Nick Singleton. He commands attention every time he's on the field. 10 carries, 179 yards, quite the home opener. For Drew Aller, thanks to a solid effort from Sean Clifford and the first team, they can comfortably put him in the second possession after halftime and give him some quality minutes, Jay.
Well, I think it's important because you look what happened at Iowa last year, and there's going to be some very difficult defenses are going to play. It's good to get him in there, but I think the other thing is, it's here now. Everyone's talking about the future and next year. This team still can do some really good things this year.
Yeah, you get a glimpse of what these guys can do, Tom, in a game like this.
You sure can. And you're really happy for them to get in and have some productive runs, catches, and things. 17 guys caught passes in the game. It's all good stuff, and you're going to need those guys down the stretch.
Yeah, these are the talk of the town. Both are true freshmen, so they're not available after the game for interviews. No need. One of the senior captains can speak for them.
We're looking at the two future stars, upcoming Penn State. When I leave here and I look back and I be like, man, I played with them when they were freshmen, and they're only going to get better, and every time I see these guys go out there and execute plays like that, it brings a certain joy to my heart being their captain. And I always reach out to Nick and Drew. I talk to them guys like they're my age, so it's fun going out there and seeing them guys, and I can't wait to see what their future holds.
Yeah, lots of praise and leadership from Brown. Whether it was Clifford or Aller, the offense worked well at a quicker pace.
Yeah, it was good to see that. One thing is the Purdue game, I think if they look back, they probably felt like they should have done some more up-tempo stuff. And they did to start. They got the short wide-out screens, got those guys involved in the game, and then opened that up for the run game, and I think that paid off.
Yeah, and as we look at some of the video here with Sean Clifford and these short passes, Tom, this makes it really difficult for a defense to defend when you got all these guys running around.
This high-tempo stuff. I can't get the signals in time after time. So I'm standing there as fast as I can get the signals in there running plays. It's up-tempo. Can be very challenging at times, especially because you're stuck a lot of times with the personnel on the field. Can't make certain substitutions you want to make. It could be a handful.
And look, afterwards we talked to the guys. It was a real emphasis to go down to some of the checkdowns.
Nice to be able to throw a drag and then he takes it 40 yards. It just gives you confidence that, okay, you don't always need the post over the top. Throwing a check down, especially with the athletes that we have, you can make some serious explosive plays happen.
Being able to run like your base plays, quick game, and being able to see guys make plays, make guys miss. I feel like that's what we're about, and I'm excited to see that more in the future.
Yeah, not going to be as easy to make Auburn's defenders miss, but anytime Clifford's 19 of 27 for over 200 yards with 0 interceptions, there's a good chance for success. Let's switch to the defense, Tom, and talk about the growth. Did you see a lot of growth from week 1 to week 2 with this defense?
Yeah, you can see the fundamentals getting better from week 1 to 2, but still they got to start getting turnovers, creating turnovers. If you're going to be a great defense, you've got to get turnovers. You've got to get tackles for losses, tips and overthrows, they always say. Got to have those. So I think that's the challenge now is sacks, turnovers.
And Tom, there's been some great early season flashes from spectacular running backs in the past. DJ Dozier, Saquon Barkley come to mind. Nick Singleton's first home game is extra special.
Well, when you average 17.9 yards per rush, that's pretty doggone good. And I think the other thing is he's the first Penn State back, I believe, to have 40 yards rushing, three rushes over 40 yards since Larry Johnson in 2002. That's not a bad start.
Well, and for the guys up front, they know they only have to hold that block for just a couple of seconds.
It's definitely fun having him on your team. So, I don't think we really block differently, but I said it earlier, maybe we give him 5 yards and then he breaks one tackle and it's, what was it, like a 90, well, he had maybe like 80 yard, 70 yard run. Yeah, so, he's capable of that.
Yeah, fun to watch. What a debut performance at Beaver Stadium. Still to come, our scouting report. First Big Ten team to play at Jordan-Hare. Our coaches break down the film on the Tigers' run game, how the Penn State tight ends match up with Auburn's linebackers, and more when Nittany Game Week returns. We're back on Nittany Game Week. There are 8 teams from the Southeastern Conference ranked in the top 25. The Tigers aren't one of them. Penn State took care of business last September in the first of this home-and-home series. There's plenty of concern about a little old trip south to Jordan-Hare Stadium, though. Time for some Auburn analysis in our scouting report with Coach Paterno and Coach Bradley. The Nittany Lions are a field goal road favorite in this game. You know they got their hands full trying to cage these Tigers.
When you go to Jordan-Hare, rankings don't matter. In the last 5 years, 2 number 1 teams have lost there. 2 other top 10 teams have lost there, and last year Alabama had all they wanted in 4 overtimes. And how'd that happen? Auburn wants to make this a trench warfare game. Penn State would rather make this about the quarterbacks. And let's talk about why that is, and let's take a look at what we got in terms of Auburn offensively. They have a very good offensive line. They're back. They're going to try and create motion and get up to the second level linebackers. Tom, you know how hard that is when you look at this tape.
Well, what happens, too, with the motion, you get the things that get you screwed up is now your gaps they're changing constantly on your gaps, and it makes the fit sometimes a lot tougher how you watch it.
Yeah, no question. And now, once they take advantage of that, once they get you playing the run, now they're going to come at you and try and get over the top. So here you're going to get a good hard run fake. Finley is an athletic quarterback. He's big. He's 6'7", 250. Okay, he's going to come out there. They're going to get guys over the top. And again, those linebackers are coming downhill to play the run. And when you look at the tape, talk about what we're seeing on the tape, Tom.
Well, what's happening, these linebackers, they know, hey, listen, Auburn likes to play the game in the phone booth. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And they're saying, hey, we got to get up there and support. Because what's their coach telling them? Get up there and fit it.
Absolutely. And you can see it gets
then what
people over
happens
the
is
top.
you get caught on a play fake and they get over the top on the backside throwback.
Now, one other thing to watch on Saturday, number 9 comes in, their backup quarterback, Wildcat stuff. He is much more explosive than Finley carrying the ball. Read the defensive end, bring 2 guys to the outside, and get him on there. And, Tom, watch the speed on this video when he gets out there.
Well, that counter reads a tough play with that option, and that guy can go.
Yeah, and if he gets loose and you're playing man-to-man, you got problems. Now, let's talk a little bit, one more thing talk about Penn State's defense as to what Auburn may want to take advantage of, Tom. A lot more 5-man blitzes and man-free coverage. Talk about what this matchup is a problem for you.
Well, that's the problem. The guy in the slot, because he's got the whole field to run on, that's going to be the matchup that they're looking for. That's the one they want. Their pass game is not great. As I said, they want to keep this thing right inside.
Yep, and if they're able to get that matchup and protect the quarterback, that could be a problem. Now, let's talk a little bit about Auburn's defense. Linebacker coverage has been a bit of an issue for them. Last year, Penn State was very efficient with the short routes across the middle, making these guys cover. And when you get into some play action stuff, which I expect Penn State will do, talk about the kind of stress that puts on those guys.
Well, as I said, those guys got to get their gaps. They got to make things happen quickly. And so what happens is you get all whacked on the run, good play fake, you get all caught up inside, down and distance situation.
Inside breaking routes.
Yep.
Now, up front, 3 of the 4 starters from last year are back. These guys are big, they are strong, they're very physical. They're going to push this line back, allows their linebackers to play downhill. This is a short yardage situation against Alabama. These guys are back, and as you know, Alabama is not bad. Take a look at the penetration they get here. That line of scrimmage goes back,
That's where
Tom.
Auburn wants to play that game. They want to play that game, everything inside that box.
No question, and get that penetration. I think that's where they have an advantage. Last year, one of the things Penn State was very effective of doing was taking advantage of that aggressiveness up front, getting the linebackers downfield, and the tight ends had a big chunk of the pass game, almost 45% of the yardage. They averaged almost 20 yards per catch, where the wideouts were only about 8. So they did a good job taking care of the wideouts. The tight ends became a problem, so watch
the
that.
tight end becomes the forgotten man.
Yep.
All the time. If you have a great tight end, you can screw people up a lot of times with a guy with that kind of speed and the way Penn State utilizes their tight end. That's going to be the real problem for Auburn in this game.
Yeah, the coverage. And I'll tell you, Todd, a lot of things, a lot of fun. Going to be a great game to watch. And I know you'll be down there having a great time as well.
I love to see the Big Ten SEC matchups. We need to have more of these things in the regular season. Thanks a lot. What a jump start it would be if the Nittany Lions can leave the state of Alabama without a blemish on their record. No doubt Penn State fans that travel to the game is going to experience the Southern hospitality before and after. During the action at Jordan-Hare, it's going to be wild and uninviting for the Big Ten road team. The coaches are well aware of how things played out last year and what to expect once this game kicks off.
We played in their environment. We handled that noise. You know, it was a big game. It was a whiteout. I remember that. And they do a great job with their atmosphere. And then you look at ourselves, you know, there's probably some opportunities that we missed. This is a really good football team that we're going to play, and we got to make sure that we're at our best when we step on the field.
We went all silent count all last week in practice with, as everybody knows, with the music as loud as possible. And everybody's like, well, we're at home this week. Well, obviously, we were starting our preparation a week ahead for that.
A smart move. Coach does not want the same kind of issues the Nittany Lions had on the road at Iowa last year. Penn State is a field goal road favorite for this contest, as we mentioned. Time to take a break. When we come back, our Impact interview. He used to answer questions from the White House pool reporters as the press secretary of the United States of America. Next up, Robert Gibbs talks Auburn football with the 3 of us. Nittany Game Week is coming right back.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Well, welcome back. This week, our Impact interview is with Robert Gibbs. He's best known for being the White House press secretary from 2009 to 2011 and for being the communications director for the Obama campaign in 2008. However, see if you can follow this, what many people don't know is he grew up in Auburn, Alabama, was a soccer goalie in college at NC State, and just like our Jay Paterno owes his very existence to a chance meeting between 2 people in Penn State's library that became his parents. Robert, welcome to Nittany Game Week. What a backstory you got, my friend.
Yeah, it's a great story for everybody that we should tell it to. My parents both worked at the Penn State Library, and were it not for their getting to know each other at Penn State, I wouldn't be here to do this interview or to do anything else. So it was special. Last year I went to Penn State for this game, and being in a whiteout game was a bucket list thing for me. But I'd only been to State College one other time, and it was nice to go back, to be in the library, and text my mom and tell her we were eating out and things like that. So good times, good memories. But that's enough soft talk about, being nice to Penn State.
Yeah.
Let's.
That's right. And look, we got some hard questions. You think those White House pool reporters were tough. Wait till you get a load of Tom Bradley. All right, well, look, let's hit that Penn State connection right away. While you were an Auburn fan, your parents met at PSU, worked in the university libraries, as you mentioned. 2 questions for you. How much did their commitment to education impact your life, career choices, and then any chance there's even a light pull in the heartstrings for Penn State this weekend, but I have a feeling the Auburn stuff in the background answers that one.
Yeah, well, I'll go with the second one first. Look, I will say it's hard not to think of my parents when I hear about Penn State because of that story of their meeting there. So I do have a bit of a soft spot for the Nittany Lions. Maybe not so much sort of right around kickoff on Saturday. Their impact, they were both librarians, and so, they were the values they instilled in my brother and me around education and the importance of it, reading, which, was not always my favorite thing to do. And maybe that was a rebellion against two librarians, but, I love it now. And, the foundation that they were able to give us, it tells a lot about where we are today.
Robert, having sat with you last year, I can tell you that Robert and his son Ethan were laser focused on rooting for Auburn. There was no soft spot. Obviously, the backdrop says it all, but you're also an avid college football fan. You mentioned the whiteout being a bucket list thing for you last year. So give Penn Staters your first-time impressions of what you saw at the whiteout.
Oh, I mean, I was blown away. It was, and I think Penn State fans will get an appreciation for it at Jordan-Hare. I mean, it's a loud place, and everybody is super focused. But, I was blown away. It's a huge atmosphere. First of all, it's gorgeous. The sun was setting. The environment was great. We walked around the tailgate. It was a lot of fun. And again, I just remember thinking, man, this is as loud as advertised. And there's a lot of stadiums that like to sort of pretend like they have a bigger and outsized impact on games. I'm pretty sure that stadium has had impact that is not outsized in terms of what people think it is. You can't hear yourself think in there. It's loud, and I think it was a big benefit last year. I'm hoping we bring, I know we will, we'll bring some of that noise this year and hopefully disrupt that offense a bit.
Robert, Tom Bradley, I've had quite a few of those games at the whiteout there. It's a lot of fun, especially when you get on a roll. But since you're an intense Auburn fan, can you give Penn State fans your rundown on the Tigers in 2022?
Yeah, I'll try to do my best. Look, I think it's going to be an interesting game. We've played we haven't had real strong opponents. I know you guys had Purdue in the first game. We haven't had real strong opponents yet, so I think I'm interested to see sort of what this team really has. What have they possibly been holding back? I think clearly the strength on offense, Tank Bigsby and his backup Jarquez Hunter, who really a strong run game, and I think our offense, if we've got to establish the run, that sets everything up. I think it'll be interesting. We've kind of alternated quarterbacks for different series between TJ Finley, the transfer from LSU, and Robbie Ashford, the first-year player transfer from Oregon. So I think it'll be interesting to watch what's the role of each quarterback in this. I think our receivers got to really come, and our offensive line has got to help establish that running game. On defense, I think. And Jay, we were talking about this a little earlier. I mean, I think the defensive line and our linebackers are really the key. I think, man, having sat in the stadium last year, I'm still waiting for us to get pressure on Clifford. I think he was 28 for 32 last year, just kind of, picked us to death. And I think our defensive line has got to get some pressure because our secondary is pretty young. And then the old adage, too, like we've had a couple of games so far, stupid penalties, dumb mistakes, and I don't think you can make any of those against Penn State.
We're going to step aside for the TV show to take a break. Robert's going to stay with us for a little while longer to continue our conversation. Make sure you go to NittanyGameWeek.com for the entire interview, along with other web-exclusive content. Still to come, a Lion and Lion Cub moment you don't want to miss. We're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week. Home opener at Beaver Stadium brings out the Lion Cub and this little guy, and then look who spots him. It's like a sixth sense. The lion comes over, climbs the wall to greet the little guy, and Mom takes advantage of the photo op, cuteness overload in the stands in Happy Valley. But we got to tell you, nothing cute about this matchup with Auburn. It is going to be a tough physical contest at Jordan-Hare.
No question. Take a look at some of the players to watch here. You got to talk offensively. You've got the quarterbacks, obviously 6'7", 250. Tom, talk about.
Oh, don't you love a running back whose name is Tank? And that's the guy that Penn State has got to stop. They have got to stop Tank Bigsby.
Looking at defensively, up front, they are really good across the board. Linebackers make a lot of tackles. The corner last year did a good job against Alabama. They had 7 sacks against the Tide with this defensive line last year, so be ready to watch that.
That 2-quarterback system reminds me of Arkansas, what happened in the bowl game. And defensively, you know, Penn State made a lot of guys miss. It's not the same kind of athlete with Ohio and Auburn. They're going to have a tougher time making these guys miss. All right, don't miss our depth chart at NittanyGameWeek.com, which includes these local businesses. Our goal is to build a team in the community that supports the show and that you, in turn, support as a viewer to keep the hometown strong. Make sure to check out all of the businesses that are already on board. If you haven't noticed yet, we got a lot to share with you when it comes to college football. It doesn't all fit into a neat, tidy 30-minute window. Make sure to check out NittanyGameWeek.com for web-exclusive content. We're going to finish up with some pride picks, guys. So show us your spirit. Submit your pictures on our website. One lucky submission is going to earn a free cabin on the Happy Valley cruise. It's probably right next to Tom Bradley. We'll see if we can arrange that for you.
We want them to want to win.
Hey, I'll do the jokes here. Go ahead.
Details at NittanyGameWeek.com. For Jay and Tom, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.